You guys, the gutter guys, were here. It was such a nice surprise yesterday. First day of the week, I got a call and said, "Hey, we could be there. Sorry about the late notice, but I got to get my piping and my special. I'm gonna tell you about that in a minute, but we could come today." I said, "Yeah, hell yeah, let's go." The squirrel's trying to live in it. You got to put the gutter back up so the squirrels can live in it. What kind? Oh, get a little drinky? I mean, don't let me bother you. Sorry, I didn't call before I came to your house. Anyway, if you recall, it used to run over there and it would shit all this up over here and try to be in there and blah, blah, blah. Now we got these nice bee bends that put it right down the side of the house and swing, out of sight. Out of sight. Flashing on the front of this, fascias are in really good shape, they said, overall. But the flashing on the front of this garage, and we got to get these branches cut back. Look at this. Swing, 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 swing. Sick, sick. I love it. Here's another one. Like a jet. Straight into the ground. Straight over there. Oh, and they had to, it's right there. They had to borrow a couple feet of pipe there. Because I had set this up and left it for myself, and to get from the adapter to the clean out, you need a piece of pipe in there. This isn't a street, it can't be glued in, you need a little section. So they had to carve it a couple of times to make some sections. Whew. Look at that. Now the upper goes, everything on the up goes over and down, everything on the down comes together and zoom, everything across the back goes a doom and zoop zoop, and those are all the ways in which I think it worked out grand. This is the most ridiculous one, but let's just not look at it for a really long time, and that'll be probably just fine. I don't know what I thought. I guess you don't get a T. That's how they do it. It's just a funnel, but it looks sharp. Boy, this guy's do nice work. Nothing I like better than just, oh yeah, boy, does that look good. I'm sorry, guys, but it's just, that's where this begins with me. The mismanagement of the rainwater, like I've been banging on about. No more bushes. But the mismanagement of that water, this is the difference. See, you've got dry, unsettled earth here, and this is all washed stone and far more settled out there. And it's because there's a dramatically different experience to the environment on the line designated by your roof's overhang, and we want to keep the materials that our residence is constructed out of inside of that little sort of invisible bubble of safety from the elements, especially in these climates, okay? So this is what we have to do now, because basically the water was mismanaged here to a massive amount. And it certainly could have been mismanaged from above to that extent and had this kind of engineering and material science working for it and geometry, and we'd still be in really good shape, probably. So it didn't help that it was an old block, truly a cinder block with mortar and no waterproofing style foundation. But, you know, there you go. Oh, gutters be popping off over here. I'm glad I pulled everything to the right here. There's nothing going underground on the left. We didn't opt for gutters on the entryway. I thought we were going to get stuck on it for closing out our building permit, because this town, once you start on an aspect like gutters, from a nominal standpoint, then you really, when you're going to call them complete, as far as this town is concerned, you can have them everywhere the town thinks that you should have them, basically. And that would allow them to dictate that, you know, you can't close that out until you put gutters on this entryway. And so I wanted to be cognizant of that. Of course, I had it scheduled to have the gutters put on the entryway, but that was pulled out of the project once Ed got wind of that little extra, that little champagne, or what do you call that? You know, that bougie sort of thing we were about to do for a couple $100. She gone. So anyway, I'm not going to mention it, and let's hope we just close out that permit, because of course to have them back and put them on there would be more expensive than when they were right here set up and doing it already. And again, we've seen that churned up out there where I'm going to fix it, but I see the traffic here has been really subtly just, you know, this is more like kissing into the mounded earth than it was pushing down in to something that has a soft spot. So I'm just glad of that. It's looking better and better. I like to see the yard letting things be driven on it without too much you know, give. So anyway, without conflating things, they also felt that stairs are too shallow. just the tread's too shallow at the 2x10 that I went on about prior to this in the last episode. So I'll just get a 10-foot 2x12 and an 8-foot 2x12, and I'll make 3 60-inch long treads out of those, and they'll be nice clear pieces, specimen. Of course, it'll be over $100 worth of material, but we'll get the tops of the stairs the right width on this one, and I'll get the door in the front here as soon as I find this one. Let's reset. I got full hands. We're going to go into the bathroom and see what's up. All right, Ed's got the underlayment put in. It ended up in far too many pieces, and things like that will focus the walk traffic on the linoleum, and over time it'll crack and rip there, and the rip will get dirt embedded in and look disgusting and gross. So instead of using one piece here and there, he opted to fill as effectively as he could by surface area. That's going to mean that we need to get some leveler and use it to make the blend so that you end up with a smooth surface, which is, like I told him, about 50% of the point of underlayment. 50% of it so that something delicate like linoleum or something that you're going to glue down can be easily removed without turning into 1,000 pieces by getting a hold of the underlayment and lifting everything together when you go to tear it out and replace your floor. And the other 50% of underlayment's job being to smooth out and homogenize the surface and average any little idiosyncrasies, and you choose to put your seams in intelligent places so that is the effect when you're done. This here wasn't exactly leveraging it to its maximum, so we'll get it with some floor leveler and keep moving. I'm also going to take these blocks off the wall because Ed decided, since now he had a handle on what it was going to take to do, he got the face frame to that cupboard moved off finally, which I had hoped to do. And so he said, you know, it could really be moved back to there, and he'd have this stud and whatever. Regardless, I think that it's good that it's out of our way. I'm going to take the wood off the wall, because really what you've got here is a face frame and then a drywalled raw opening studs with some wooden slats to hold shelves. And it isn't how we build cabinetry anymore. If you have a face frame, well, it's on a plywood box that has shelving and stuff. And if that box slides in here and fits into this rough alcove, then the little edges of it get a little piece of trim like shoe molding or something, or cove, and it becomes one. And then later when you want to take it away, you take the molding off and you slide the thing back out. So that's what I've encouraged him to do here. For now, it gets the face frame out of the way. Lets me get these scab blocks off the wall behind me and in front, chuck those. We've also got a new style shower setup. Now, I went and got something that's budget friendly. It's still not super cheap. It's $250 or something for everything here. It matches the era of the house to the extent that you can walk into Lowe's and get something that matches. But it's not going to stand out and call a lot of attention to itself. It's still going to be generally plastic components. So to feel of it, you can kind of tell as compared to an $800 or $1,000, you know, bathroom setup like this, or tub shower setup. You can spend that, and they're really nice solid brass, and you'll be able to tell. This is still a cartridge style, so your mix valve is installed. This is your rough plumbing. This is your rough-in, and we'll have to sweat to PEX on all these connections. Up to the shower, in left and right for hot and cold, down is out to the tub, and that will stay in the wall, hard lined in, and it'll be under the escutcheon cover, which is this control cover here, through which this cartridge valve is all plastic. So again, this is where you see the quality differences. But and then this is used over it to protect it when you're mudding, I believe. And then when you're all done, you can come and take that off, and you put the control lever and the escutcheon stuff around it. But in the future, if you need to do anything with this, you can take this apart and take those 4 bolts out, and you can leave this hard plumbed thing, especially when you have municipal water and water supply that isn't going to build up a lot of mineral deposits and wreck that. And you can get a new version of this and do it all through underneath this cover from the beauty side, rather than having to get in here and work on the back side, which is, you know, a royal pain in the ass, or it's unhandy to be able to, or have to leave yourself the ability to do that. So, long story short, you'll notice this has 3 openings for, I guess it was hot, cold, and the tub spout here, or that was where the shower is, and that's where the shower had to come out before. This is the hole that we're going to open larger to do the shower valve and stuff through, and this will be where we come back out with the tub stub. This is another thing that I want to get rid of. This is a toughie. kind of need to just, I think that's going to be trouble to deal with. To start with, it needs to be replaced, so I wouldn't want to do the permanent faucet stub out for that. I think I'm going to try and remove this without cracking these tiles and put the faucet here. And that'll just have to take a tile replacement when somebody gets to it. These will need tile replacements in the future. That one is an easy standalone. These two and this one, all 1, 2, 3. So we got to look at what it's going to take. So I don't want to, I don't know. This is the thing where leaving that seems like, well, don't tear this all apart and it won't have to all be rebuilt. But the thing is, when you're trying to work to it and not tear it all apart, and it's so old that all the back bends we're going to do to install just a usable shower, it really would be so much easier to just pull that all down when we were doing demo, do all the work that I planned to do in here, just straightforward install, and then come back and just put some hardy up, put some curdy up, and have somebody tile it. It's certainly more expensive not to just leave it alone, but I don't know. We'll see how quickly and easily I can do a resto mod to an existing disgusting shower that's got no waterproofing provisions. I'd also like to have a vent fan, but it kind of needs to go because this is your actual rafter angle here. You know, this is the soffit and it goes right up and becomes the ceiling. So this is an uninsulated, wherever that goes. That's amazing. But we've got a lot of things coming together in here. Let's see what kind of sense we can make of it. All right, you'll notice, if you're paying attention, that we're flirting with the idea of putting the toilet in this alcove because lo and behold, that face frame has been removed as it should have been square one. And typically, it was just a face frame with doors, and the rest of the cupboard was actually just the drywall or otherwise the framed alcove, which is a conflation of things here. These days, when we talk about cabinetry, it's a face frame applied to a plywood box. In the case of wanting it to occupy the same space, you'd make yourself a plywood box that slides into this alcove. Yes, you compromise the thickness of the walls of the box, and it's a little smaller still, so you have a little clearance, and yeah, you want to either have a face frame that stands off of it, so when it comes in tight and lands, it looks good from the front, and maybe you just caulk or trim the other side of it, or maybe you trim the front. However, that wasn't what we had here, and it made the face frame sort of irredeemable. Even if you used it to make a plywood box to go with it, that's one thing, and we didn't just trash it. It could be used for that, but I wanted it out of the way, and instead we made 3 pieces of subfloor where 1 would have sufficed, and then we also made 4 pieces of underlayment where 1 would have sufficed, and we got a floor leveler compound project that we've got to do with just some typical Henry leveler or whatever. You can get DAP, I think makes it, but it's chilly now, and I need to be walking in there and kicking around dirt, so like that can't be there until the weekend, and then if it isn't warm over the weekend, it'll just sort of not really do its thing, and then all of a sudden you can't get in here to put your flooring down and stuff because we're still waiting on doing a leveling project. Instead of just springing for a second sheet, this is how Ed works, and it works great for Ed when it's just Ed, but this project, it doesn't behoove Ed to work as Ed works, and so I've been struggling with it for this whole time, and so I would have loved this video series just to showcase my mistakes and how I solved my problems, but mostly how I've learned in the past from so many things now that we can curb and skip over a lot of stuff and hopefully make things look more feasible and give you a fast lane to success if you're interested in doing a project like this or running a project like this yourself. But I suppose it's a teachable exercise, and you know, it's fair enough that I didn't expect this to be the case to have an Ed work for me every day, but you want to avoid this approach where more thought and consideration was given to absolutely being economical with material when the cost of material here is laughably small in its relationship to the overall project budget. And so the thing to do is just to get a second sheet of material. And we almost did it with the linoleum here, which we went with linoleum because it was going to be peel and stick, and I begged them not to do that. And the linoleum, I said, is so cheap, but it's a one piece here. And we've historically had water problems here from the tub shower that we're not going to touch because we won't unnecessarily, which I don't necessarily agree with, but we won't unnecessarily increase the scope on the project. But if we're going to leave this as a time capsule with no waterproofing or any other features where the water may come through and out of it somehow, I at least didn't want a seam anywhere out here in the rolled flooring that was 63 cents a square foot. And so, long story short, I got enough rolled flooring to do one whole piece in here, and that end up better be what ends up happening, because this here was discussed and rolled out, and then it occurred. So we'll hopefully have that situation. And at least then, if we caulk to that edge and the other edge, or ostensibly the other area underneath which moisture could travel under this, well, it can be seen and be dealt with because there's basically a hole into the kitchen ceiling area down there. And I don't expect anything to leak here. I mean, what we're talking about would be coming through here. And so that could use a re-caulk while we're here and it's so epically dry. Anyway, what am I even trying to say? So much concern was then paid to how do we get back into the backside here, where Ed spent so much of his time fiddling with an ancient mix valve and all of that. Well, these days, or since, 20 years or so, or more now, we install what looks about like this guy, okay? And he's on the other side of the wall. And then once he's in place and you can go up to the shower and down to the tub and the water hot and cold comes in on the left, right, you've got a cartridge here. Now this whole opening is justified. It's a 5-inch circle in this case. It's justified by this mud ring, and that sort of holds the drywall lands here, so you end up with a 5-inch hole, or hardy board in the case of a tile shower or whatever. But your finished wall surface is held out to here, and so you get all done with this sitting in there, okay, and I dump it on the floor and break pieces off it and whatever. We feel it's necessary here, and it's part of my process, and I need you to respect it, all right? So this is the opening in the finished wall, and it's where the tile or whatever you finish the wall in the shower stops. And then your escutcheon goes on and obscures all of that, and you have one control knob to run the tub shower. If you need to service this, you can take the handle and escutcheon off and take this builder quality plastic cartridge and get yourself a nicer quality one next time it's changed, or do the same thing once again. But this all stays in the wall, happy-go-lucky, safe and sound, and you don't have to come at it from the back. So, we're off and running. But again, this is all installed normally, and then the drywall has a hole cut through it, and we tile in small tile components up to that opening. Well, we've already got a tile wall. And so it needs to have a 5-inch hole cut through it somewhere. And so, to start with, there's a hole here, and the tile's broken out here. So if we encapsulate this orifice when we do our new install, we're saving ourselves dealing with it. We only have the other two to deal with. And then we'll bring the tub spout through one of these, and then I guess that was the mechanical stopper. That's what that was. I forget I had to cut one of these out. The other one was there, whatever. No, this is the mechanical stopper. So I don't know why there was a second. I'm not even going to worry about it. Anyway, probably come through the upper with the stub for the faucet, and so that'll need a tile replace, and we'll need a 1, 2, or 1.5 tile replace here. That's going to be tricky. This one will be all that we need to replace over there. But anyway, if I can cut that through, then I can put a block between the studs here and float that thing in with using the plastic as a reference, and then anchor the block, and then everything will be kind of reverse installed the way it should be. But the first thing was how the hell to drill a 5-inch diameter hole through this tile. Now you can lay it out, and I could use my little grinder from Milwaukee and kind of trace that circle over and over again with that small diameter wheel that's all the time gouging and opening the hole bigger and bigger, and then slice it into like pie pieces and then pop them out of there and whatever. Or we could go for like a hole saw, but I couldn't have what I absolutely wanted. I want a 5-inch hole saw with many teeth consistently all the way around covered in diamond dust, where this has got a carbide tooth at the front of every one of these very large teeth with a gap. So I have to start on this side, and I'll probably start touching and skate and see if I can't start cutting myself in. Because I feel if I come in on approach while it's turning, I could glance and chip and gouge, and I don't know how much wiggle room I have here. So again, we're going to try to come in and start spinning while we're on the surface and just push until we've got a groove cut. I think once we've got a groove kind of being cut, we're home free. Famous last words. But how to center myself when I have no center, I'm actually going to thread up a second hole saw that just whispers through here, kind of good enough, and stack it inside of here. And so that, and sometimes you can use washers and stuff to push the depth of it out enough so it may be started into this hole as a big fat center drill. And once it's just loosely spinning in that hole, it'll hold me well enough on center to get started cutting a groove. And then once the groove is started, that'll hold me, and I can just continue to push. And then the question becomes, when you're pushing and you're following through something thin like that, that isn't well backed up here, so I really kind of want to install temporarily even. Yeah, it'll be temporary. I think I'm going to go grab a 2x6 or something. Now, these are all pushed out and bumped out, so I got to, I don't know, maybe that's asbestos, you know, but like I got to trim these humps back so I can bring a block in tight and smooth to support this against my cutting, and then I got to set up a custom, you know, hole saw hole drilling setup to get on center here and cut that through. And if I'm successful in all of that, then I can begin to construct that and, you know, find a block to mount it on. But I'm going to continue to pin it behind that block, putting the valve up and then putting the block up, and to see that I am where I want to be. But then I've got to get the block back down again because I can't take the brass component off the face of it. I've got to get the block out of the way. Then ultimately this has to come back out when I'm all done, and we're going to sweat in the copper that goes up to the shower and down to the tub, which is just a nice way. We're doing PEX almost everywhere else here, but it really makes a nice component because you're going to end up with a stub coming through for the faucet, and I don't like to have any kind of leverage on him to left and right. So if he's actually sweat to an elbow that's sweat into this valve, the left and right is about as rigid as it can get without adding a lot more infrastructure here that people don't normally add. And with the shower, all you get at the top usually is a drop ear, and you know, even to go to PEX, it's you need a block up there and stuff, which I'm going to already have. I don't know, there's just something about the shower head, and I've run them without it before. But this was a sweat one. I have one that's to PEX that I got preemptively. We'll see what, I think still though, I want to put the copper. It's just nice to come in here and see the brass with the copper to copper. It kind of demonstrates that, you know, it's a nod to what how we used to do. It keeps everything nice on a real nice center. I could take the PEX up and just put the drop ear wherever I wanted, but I think in choosing to go with a little bit of copper here, it just makes it a classier install. I don't think it was any more expensive. I'm going to be all set up to sweat stuff anyway, and so that's what I'm doing, okay? That's what I'm doing. Fight me. I might be able to get there today if I can get all the things discussed. Then we're looking at, you know, what to do about the layout up here, because if you're free to take the toilet over there, boy, does that make a ton of sense. You know, you could put an upper cabinet here and consolidate the extra deep bullshit stuff that you don't need up and away into this upper cupboard. And you could have well, the door opens here, but at least it's clear and your towels can hang. And I had suggested, after the doors here, maybe the heater there, so you could kind of throw a towel on it. And then we also had it here, but we've been playing with this toilet paper dispenser. And we got their ultra cheap pedestal sink picked out and stuff, but we got it moved into place. And I said, I really like the heater next to the window. It's really kind of, this is an outside, this is, you know, outside, obviously right there, but I'm just saying it's, as negative space, it's an outside corner of the outdoors, right, that can take heat away from in this aspect and in that aspect. So to generate heat there fortifies us against that kind of exposure of our surface area, and in this case of a window, far less efficient surface area than even this old-ass wall, because I think there's some insulation in there if I remember correctly. So long story short, boy, would it be nice to have the heater over there. And I kept dealing with, like, we don't want to open this can of worms with this vanity that's notched into this tile, because it's not going to be, I could recut stuff, but I won't be able to fix it and whatever. But then we finally open it and we see this is a farmer special again. And so this isn't notched into the tile. And so this is just the tiniest of all tiny vanities. And since we're in the wall out here anyway, you know, I can get us wherever we decide to have the sink, it'll be quick and dirty, easy for me to throw a vanity cupboard in on its center line. And it'll also allow me to move this fixture up and above where you can have a bar with, you can do the 3 typical vanity light fixture. It would help out the light in this room, because this isn't the light in this room. This is Chazzy's light, believe it or not. And so that's not a problem because of this here. That freed us up to think about what to do here. I really like, then I start seeing this and it's like, well, geez, I would do, if you're taking some storage away here, I would do a proper, at least 32 or 36 inch wide vanity cupboard with sink. You have more kind of space on either side of the sink. 2 people could even, if you really wanted his and her sinks, you could even do that here. I don't think they feel that way. But we've sort of run out of final decisions because this changes the layout of the drains in the floor up from below. But they're all sitting there ready and waiting either to be reconnected just exactly the way they were or kind of in a different layout. And so I said, let's, consider that. And that was really exciting. And it's almost like I'd been saying, stop worrying about the plumbing, stop worrying about the plumbing, stop worrying about the plumbing. We got to fix the subfloor. Don't take the subfloor away in pieces. Take all the subfloor. Put all plywood down. Put it down in as big a pieces and as few pieces as possible. Put the underlayment down in as big a pieces and as few pieces as possible. Don't line up the seams. You'll have an easy time of putting 1-piece rolled flooring down if that's what you want to do. And at that point, you have the freedom, or just prior to putting the flooring down, but you can make the piece even. We can change the layout around, and at that point, we'll have the heater, and it'll be time to look at what we could do up here. And then I can go ahead and execute the plumbing underneath the floor in the right way the one time, instead of the 5th or 6th time now, if you recall the times that we're building and rebuilding over here, at the wrong point in the project. I'm going to say that again. Thinking about and wasting bandwidth and hemming and hawing, if you don't understand these projects from a larger perspective, is massively wasteful to productivity and to time. You need to cross the right bridge at the right time and do not get waylaid. However, I do design build because I've got my eyes on the final look and the forms and the function of things when it's complete way at the early stages. And that's why Chazzy makes the big bucks, because that's the way my brain works, and I'm very good at managing what to do now and what to do later, what to do today and what to do tomorrow, what to do so that at the very end, things are the way we want them to be, and what we have to decide on today so that that can be the case. And this time jumps, long and short little time jumps, and this create sort of a web of understanding of a project that you hand to your general contractor or your designer professional, and you give that to them because that's what they do for a living, and they're very, very good at it. It's a bit of project management, but it's also the design process. It's a very unique process. Sometimes it can be very intuitive. Sometimes it can be counterintuitive. Of course, everybody will say, well, yeah, obviously you got to do the right thing at the right time. Well, the thing is, you don't know what the right thing is at what right time if you don't know this work well enough. And I've taken my lumps. I've been at it for over 10 years professionally and over 20 years just in general. And, I've taken my lumps. I've learned a lot of hard lessons. And when you pay for my time, that's what you're paying for, so that we don't repeat any of those things if possible. We just get to have fun, fresh, new bullshit to deal with that nobody saw coming. And there's been a little bit of that here. But some of those things that you've seen me get upset about in the past on this project, or that I've noted were what I wanted to do all along, and the ways in which they kind of cost us before we just quit dragging our feet and incorporated those ideas that Chazzy had about where to start and when to finish. And when to give up and when to keep moving. So anyway, that's my little rant. I'm going to get the shower valve upgrade resto mod to this completely irredeemably constructed tub shower situation, because that's how we're doing things here. It can, that's important to note, stay there forevermore. If someone wanted to do a extreme renovation to this bathroom, as long as it's not a remodel, meaning moving equipment locations, the quality of this plumbing is going to be top notch. It's good, and the subfloor repairs and the underlayment, they truly should only have to pull this wall out, do their insulation and any changes to electricity, any vapor barrier and fan installation, any lighting changes or anything like that, trims and stuff like that that they want to do, and insulate, and they can put their drywall and their Hardy and their Curdy system up and their 5-foot tub in there again and all of that. As soon as you move this wall or change anything and make this just a shower or whatever, well, your plumbing at this end of it's going to have to change some. But the point is here that we've gone 75% of the way, and I think we're going to spend 125% of the total cost to redo this whole room, rather than what it would have been 100% to just do it all right now, because that's just, is to say, once this is finally renovated, the entire thing will cost you at least 125%, if not more, as a factor of doing it in 2 big sort of bites, rather than just doing it all in 1 big bite. But, again, we can't afford to just do a full-blown remodel to the room or anything. We're trying to have our cake and eat it too here by moving some equipment around in the ways that it makes sense, if you can believe it. Things like this are going to endure, because I don't know, guys. I might have to do something about that now that I'm in there that close. I just can't stand it. But things like this are going to endure, and things like this will likely endure. And things like that will likely endure, because we just got to get it working and functionally raw and then get the heck out of here. And so let's get back to work. Well, so that's how you do that.
Is this what you're looking for? Where the straps are?
No, this is the best thing ever invented. This is dollar store safety glasses that are questionably safe.
Yeah.
With reader lenses on the bottom, so you can trip both up and down the stairs as you walk around the job
site. So high impact, non-high impact.
Well, I don't want to test it.
Non-glass.
Well, folks, that's how you do that. I think you'll see Ed and I had a little inspiration where we just needed to bulk up the center drill size with some tape, which got us, got us into that 50 or 100-year-old tile. It got us into this smaller diameter tube that got me, then I bulked that up with tape twice, and that ran in the larger diameter tube, whoa, like there, and then that would float in this busted old hole tightly enough to allow me to commit and get started to cutting a groove in the tile with that non-ideal but still perfectly functional. The finished quality suits me just fine. That's probably asbestos.
Einstein always said, imagination is more important than knowledge.
I want to put this mask back on, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm going to let the dust settle, literally. Hey, so when the dust settles, you end up with, sort of what you need to have here. Now, there's... for thick walls and thin walls, you gotta love directions, because you want to read them. You want to read the directions, but they just make things too difficult. I need to know. I'm going to end up kind of assembling everything eventually here, just loosely, to see the stack up and see the escutcheon pull down and everything. I mostly just want to see that. Water rolling down the face of this, because none of this here is going to be the right anatomy for this penetration for this new style valve, because again, old shower. So I want to do everything that I can here. I might want to move this up so that I kind of wanted to caulk and like fill the difference between this mud ring and the edge of the old wall with sealant, and then slice it off flush all in an effort to make sure, I don't know what exactly, even if it's a gasket, there's like low areas from grout. I don't want water getting in here because it just, like I said, can't be finished the way that it should be finished. Another thing that you can do is just make like a circle of that zip tape when you're all done here and just apply it as a big sticky gasket that doesn't show past the escutcheon, but I just got to see everything. And so I will, you know, mount that to this block, and the drop ear will get mounted to this block. But in the end, essentially, the whole group will migrate out and in, taking these screws out of these blocks, tappa, 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 in and out, while I adjust everything there until I find where I want the valve to live in terms of depth in here. And then I'll drag the upper block and whatever I have for a lower block here out to match it, or to supplement and support these sticks that go up and down, and then commit to that, and then I can commit to, you know, and then actually, weirdly, usually you get all done with the shower rough in, and you can't immediately put the control valve and stuff on, but we will be able to. So that'll all be a component to this here, and it'll be kind of finished on this side, unfinished on this side. This will be sweat into there, and actually after I commit to everything here, then it's going to come back out to where the brass and the copper can be operated on the bench, quote unquote, with the map gas and the flux and the solder and all that. This will be sweat up into there. It'll turn in an elbow and go out there for now. I put the drop ear on the 3-foot stick that I bought, a 2-foot pre-cut stick and a 3-foot pre-cut stick. I got to go back and see if they offer a 4, because that's really what you need, or off the shop. I didn't want to buy a whole 10-foot stick and only need half of it. I slid the drop ear on. That's a sweat drop ear, meaning it's solder connection here, right under the raw end of that, and I went up to the center line of the shower hole, and we're just shy. So I just need kind of another stick. So we'll fabricate all that up, and then, like I say, we'll move it in and out until we're happy with it. Throw the guts of the mix valve and stuff in. I'll also be able to pick my overall length and put the, I think it's usually sweat to threaded, and then the faucet threads onto there, and that beauty cover can go on, and then we can go right through the hole up there with the shower and the escutcheon for that. And essentially the shower will both be roughed in and finished in due to the finished situation in here. Isn't that delightful? And then we'll just have on the sides that sweat to pecs, and when I'm ready, you know, another thing I can do when I take this off to solder, I will plot out because I want to be able to crimp onto the pecs. So there's a chance that I will sweat out, get a couple more elbows, and go down with copper, and then sweat to pecs pointed down here and there, and so I could take off with pecs and I could crimp, and the block won't be in the way of my crimp. So that's wise. Chazzy, get yourself a couple more elbows, and at that point, since I haven't consumed any of these pre-cut sticks of copper, I'll do a little math, but it may be worth buying, it still isn't going to be worth buying a whole 10-footer. I don't know exactly what people have for sale for lengths, but we just need a little bit here. So that one will definitely go back. I don't know. I never like to take stuff back until I'm absolutely finished, because as soon as you take something back preemptively, you turn around and didn't realize you want it back again. Nothing worse than going back to the store to get the thing that you've already returned. So we'll keep all of this, but we'll add a few more things tomorrow. It's after 6 already, so I'm out of here. I got a real candy lung going from that cutting that hole, even though I wore the mask for it. Are you not entertained? All right, back tomorrow. All right, I've got the anatomy here that I built in the wall up there to make sure that this gets me right from, let's see, this is our hot supply, so that'll stand off the wall on a bell mount so that we have the ability to get insulation around that run and to continue to route it to where there's, you know, foam insulation around it all the way back down here. So that once you've got your hot water, if you shut it off and turn it back, it doesn't run away on you that quickly. Overall good practice to insulate your hot routes. This will sit tightly against the stud on the other side because of course that's cold and we don't need to worry about insulating that. This gets us right to the shower hole and through to the tub hole. Now we obviously want this at 90 as compared to the face of this, as compared to the ears on the drop ear. We don't want these falling down there, and so you got a question of what to make into sub-assemblies here again. Make things that have no third dimension. We can make that. We can assemble that. We can assemble this. I'm working on the wood down here. I've run out of, I really like to have a nice workshop and a workbench and all kinds of stuff like that, but I really only have to get this done and then I'm back to work. So, or you know, I'm back to on what I'm calling the site upstairs versus being on the bench here, which is kind of what this is, bench work. So I can build that. It's overly long. Used to be you would sweat on an adapter to threaded and your faucet would thread on, but I see now that you just need to cut it at a close enough length and the faucet just sort of friction fits over it with an O-ring probably, and then you just put a set screw on to keep it there, and so we'll just cut him to length when we get there. This then can be, the drop ear can be soldered onto the far end of that, and then everything can kind of come together into this central component here. All the plastic has been dropped off of there, the mud ring and everything, so that it's not getting overly hot. In general, we don't want to make things too hot here. I have used the deburr tool on all these ends. You'll notice it's type L copper, which is a nice heavy thick wall. It's what you want for potable water systems, for the physicality of it and the composition of it, chemically speaking, because it says drinking water that we're routing here. So at this point, I'm just going to set up and put these sub-assemblies together, and then we'll put the whole overall assembly together, and we'll take it upstairs and buckle it in, and then we can put our beautiful shower head and mix valve and faucet on probably here at the end of the day. All right, I'm super glad I bought this thing because it isn't like 50% of the time some weird aspect of it just lets go and my camera angle falls apart. So sorry about that. I tried fixing it there toward the end. We've got a real effigy here or something, I don't know. It's just what we always wanted, I think. And the only problem with this is you really don't know what you've got. I've done quite a bit of sweat solder. And I always seem to have one small place where, you know, isn't watertight on an assembly like this. It's just tough. Although this is a little easier because things are spread out more. I built some manifolds and stuff back before you could easily get your hands on a pre-made manifold. And that just, everything gets so hot. Believe it or not, you really don't want to overheat. And the MAP gas is actually a culprit. Growing up, we always used propane, but I don't even keep a propane torch around. So periodically when I need to solder, I'm stuck with the MAP gas, which is a bit too hot, really. Now over here, we're running the propane heat. I've turned it down. In fact, I'm going to turn it right off for now, which I forget how to do. That's the wrong way, Chezzy. I guess when you turn it off, you just turn the gas off, which is fair enough. And then kick the burner on. We're just trying to get some heat to rise up to where Ed is working on the, isn't that, which way does that go? Come on. There. Just trying to get some heat to rise up where Ed's doing the linoleum glue down on the first floor bathroom.
There were times that I didn't hear Taylor, so it's a little
He's
bit
getting that.
right? You know what sold everything? Just go see Taylor live and experience Taylor in
Getting ready to glue it and do it. He's got the wallpaper off. He's got the underlayment down. And let's take this upstairs and see what kind of situation we've got. It's probably still hot somewhere. I don't want to burn anyone. We're just going to trust that it's well constructed, and if it needs to be taken apart, I can do that and have one solder to fix or whatever. More importantly today, I want to see everything else go right back in where it belongs, so that goes in there. Oopsie. Gotta get up underneath there first, and then swing down and through there. And then we're, you know, tight on the left because of cold water, and bell hanger on the right with room enough to insulate. And I think, you know, overall that's what we were looking for. Now, because I can commit screwing this to that block. However, I really got to commit that block then. And once I have, then I can block up here. I can move him in and out until he's where he's got to be. See, the bummer about this is like a drop here. All this stuff is designed to be installed from this side. And it's finished already. So I think the next thing is to put all this back together again, which helps me get this exactly aligned to this hole in the finished wall. And then get this screwed back into the block, and then get the block dialed in just exactly where I want it, and I guess trace the ends of it so I can go right back there. And then take this down and apply the drop ear to this block. And it looks like I'm going to be able to get behind this with a 2x4, although I might go on the front of this with a 2x4. That'll make things easy because then I can use my hold down this way. It'll be a problem for someone potentially in the future being on the wrong side if they're working from the other side, but it shouldn't be anything they can't handle. So this will have a 2x4 block on the other side, so I'll just get it in place before I reinstall this thing. And then I can tap this thing back to where I traced the ends of it to, and then in and out with this until I love it, and then screw it in there, and then bring that block in to touch the face of this and make sure this is plumb in here, so basically we're the same distance away from everything, and then put a hold down around it. And then we're basically in it to win it here. I can put the cartridge in, the mix valve, and the handle and stuff on it. And I can thread in the shower head and put that on. And I can figure the length to cut him once the block is holding him at the exact, you know, without moving. And slide the faucet cover on and the scooching and stuff for that. And then it'll probably be the end of the day here. But that's my plan. Maybe I'll set you up so you can kind of watch one side of this or the other, or back and forth. Maybe the tripod can loll again and LOL. Or and lose the angle for most of the segment. Wouldn't that be nice? All right, well, turns out I had used a couple of the openings in that brass hub to hold it to this block back and forth there periodically while I was doing this process. And really that's to assemble the cartridge into it, etc. So it hasn't been screwed to this block. I just brought the block in behind it to where it's landed there. It's a bit high here and there, and that's because I kind of want to pull that back toward the block to pull this gasket down. You know, it's designed to keep it from getting water and moisture in there. I get all that done, and if we have any trouble here, because we're going to be running the water and stuff long before we cover this up, and if I'm seeing any moisture there, then I can dismantle the front of it and go right from just a smaller footprint than this escutcheon and essentially do a big circular zip tape gasket down onto the core of the valve and stuff like that and just make it, you know, like no problem. I'd rather not slop silicone across the top of there and stuff, even though that's what a lot of people would, you know, consider doing. If it's white, it stands out like a sore thumb. If it's clear, it kind of looks like dog shit. So I'd really just like to leave that as, you know, leave well enough alone. It's that low area where there's grout that, you know, drops away from it at the top. On the sides, I'm fairly certain, and there's a notch in the bottom of it. See? It's designed to, where is it? You can see it there. But anyway, it's designed to let water, anything in there, fall right back out again so you don't get hydraulic pressure where it fills up and then it can drill back into the wall. Should passively fall out. So we can go to hot. It feels pretty good actually. This is all metal. This is vac metallized plastic. But the faucet is actually all metal, and all the you know, shower head stuff is all metal. So honestly, that being vac metallized plastic is all right by me. If it doesn't get like scrubbed with something abrasive, it'll be okay. As far as pulling that in though, where I was saying, I'm actually going to throw those copper hold downs over that and try to reach through here with a long extension, and the hold down, those little clippy boys, where are they? God, the amount of directions that you don't need on this, because to start with, it's in a bunch of different languages, which is fine. It's just that, anyway, a couple of these bad boys that were labeled for individual sale at the local hardware instead of in like a 5-pack or something. I'll throw those in there now that the block is in there, and then I can put this upper and lower blocks in there. I'm actually pretty content with that. I can put one right on there, which will be just dandy. Yeah, I'm in pretty good shape here, so I'll just keep pressing on. Well, get a light here. I just dropped the whole idea of using a block across behind the valve to start with. I was able to put the bell hanger on and the other little hold down, and that's sort of, I don't want to call it reefing, but it's, you know, preloading it in this direction a bit, as well as, you know, being held here. And I got this block sort of, you know, I can just, it's not super important, I didn't even put a plumb on it. I can just feel that the gap's about the same there overall. And now you know, this really can't go anywhere. And so I can just see where, I gotta get the set screw back out of it. And then this just will slide down. I can probably feel it like run through the, I wanna be sure that I had it set up to solder. But you wanna be careful here if you've got like a sharp edge, which I've got a bit of there. It's going to lacerate that O-ring. And so I'm going to clean that up on the outside so it's smooth, and then slide this down and see what I've got for distance from here to the wall, then take it back, take a hair more than that off of it, right? Clean that end up real nice again so we don't damage the O-ring. Then put that little escutcheon ring on, slide this bad boy on there, plumb him up, clock him, you know, to where this is plumb up and down, and then get under there and tighten the set screw. And then as far as the shower, I believe I want to put a little Teflon tape. The neck of a shower has just got the same finish as everything else, but it's usually a heavy-walled, sort of basically a bent pipe. And we'll put a little Teflon tape on him, spin him into the wall. And usually you can have your choice of, I think it's probably this way. This way looks incorrect in a lot of applications. So anyway, it'll be coming out of the wall like that and then dropping down. We'll put a little Teflon tape on that and throw the shower head on it. And then I think we're going to pack up and try to go outside and get some of that dirt grated out. This is nice, on, off. Let's just wrap this up in here. Well, there you go, kids. That's Uncle Chazzy's backwards shower installation. Like I said, the action is nice. It appears to correspond cold to hot. I, put everything else together the way it's labeled. Hot on the left, cold on the right, normally. You got your old, I think that must activate the shower. So yeah, so this is all you get. So hot and cold would run the tub, and when you've got water pressure, you can do that and it will stay up and kick it out the shower. And you got what do you got? 1, 2, 3 different confabulations and orientations of spray, and over here there's some semblance of order and anatomy that will be necessary come time to supply with the dioxygen monoxide or whatever, dihydrogen monoxide. Yeah, just love to believe that the solders are in good shape. I got to the top to thread that shower neck in, and the hole from this side was just a little high, and so I chipped off a couple little chips, not of tile, but on the backside of the Hardy board or whatever that was, like long before Mr. Hardy was ever born, probably it was put up. So that's not what that is. Anyway, the chunks got into that drop here, and then they fell down into here. So I expect when we charge this the first time for them to come raging up and get stuck on the little filter. It's got like a wire, what is it called, aerator type of a thing. And so if we get weirdness here, it'll be just a matter of spinning the shower head off and barfing that little crud chunk out. So I'll say that aloud to myself and to you folks. So between the millions and millions of us, between the handful of 100 people, a couple hundred people that watch, someone will recall when I go, hey, I don't know what the problem with the shower head is. We'll all remember that that's what the problem with the shower head is. Let's hope that this doesn't have to come apart at all, and that we can just sort of get a hold of it here and go downstairs with our pecs. But there's how you do that if you're trying to, which I absolutely don't believe that anybody ever should. In the case of a bathroom remodel here, this whole room needed to come down to the studs, and we do everything contemporary. Curdy and Schluter and all of that in here, waterproofed and whatever. You could keep your tub if it's in really nice shape. There's nothing wrong with a tub that fits an alcove, has been installed, has good porcelain, and, all of that. That's the thing about this house. See, I don't mind putting those. We're going to refinish those radiators and stuff, but, this is sort of abhorrent to me because it isn't the right style. I would have rather seen an old dry sink cabinet with a vessel sink on top, because even though that's even more contemporary, it looks like a white bowl on a dry sink cabinet in this era of home. Again, we're on track with, I'm happy with the vinyl insert double hung sashes that they've got in this house. That's the right type of window, even though it's sort of newer tech. There's a crank out casement window in the kitchen that is not the right era. It goes right along. You see them constantly. It goes right along with when people did those window replacements on a house this old. But really, if you wanted to do a nice resto mod here, in my opinion, which is what it is that I'm trying to do with my life, you want to pay attention to where to pick new tech, when to hide it, when to show it off, and all of that. So anyway, this shower will live to wash another day for right now. I think I'm going to pack up here and truck some stuff down that we hopefully won't need up here, do a little sweep, and then try to get out and do some grading if the light holds up for us. So check that out. just in time for quitting time. Only about a half an hour later, all ready than I like to be. And we will quickly bug up, but we got one lump or two. We had the 2 lumps, we got the one spread out front. This is fill. I know it looks brown and like dirt, but it is, this here is asphalt millings, but this here is primarily sand and small gravel all the way up to 1 inch. Like I say, 1 inch filtered bank run from the gravel pit. And so all of this will pack very tightly. That's why I'm looking to feather and blend it. I mean, the plane here, the forms here, I want them to be the same, basically, right out and along. Now, we use the asphalt millings here because it will truly be the driveway. And in the end, we kind of want to see relatively crisp black edge here. But more importantly, and you know, in the majority of it, it's there, and the majority of the fill is here. But we want to get it all planed over together. We don't want some kind of trough between them where the water will stand for any amount of time. We got to get this all dialed in all around here. That's looking pretty nice and smooth there. And then when you come back next year and get the driveway to crown, I'm going to get this filled here this year and stuff too on the other side of it. But so it'll roll right up on here. It'll be a little bit dirty here. Won't be a nice crisp edge and stuff like that. However, when the rain comes down, it'll be like it is over here, right? All the sand and the brownness gets rinsed away, and you get down to the pebbles and stones. Same with the asphalt millings, and it gets bleached out in the sun. So when you get all down to it next year in the spring, this will be all one planar thing. That's, you know, generally speaking, the driveway here, generally speaking, the yard there. Then we'll dial it, get the driveway to crown a little bit, get everything just so. If there's some soft areas that settled, fill them in, scrape them off level. Okay, and then we come in with actual topsoil, beautiful, lovely, expensive topsoil, and we put that down, potentially with my skid steer, very carefully. I roll in, dump it, and like start doing it to the back and just continue to back my way out of here, not turning around, not churning it up or anything like that. Get it dispensed like that, okay? And then we'll get that to have a nice crisp edge here between the driveway and the lawn. We'll get that to have a nice crisp edge between where they want to park the garbages down here, if they want anything or not. I wanted the asphalt millings in there because it won't hurt anything to be there. Well, you know, this here where they'll get all of that perfect with the topsoil. Then you can hydroseed, or you can do your seeding on it. And your grass seed, you want to do a nice crisp edge there. And then you want to toe the line here and basically use Roundup every few years or whatever there, or you'll have it invading. The thing about the asphalt is it's another step in the wrong direction as far as growing stuff. This really doesn't want to grow anything that easily, but it will grow because there is some organic material in it. This here really doesn't have a lot of organic material other than what I mixed into it on the edges, which is what's going to help the grass get started. So if you toe that line there and keep it killed off, you keep the lawn mowed so you're not getting a lot of grass sending up its own seeds and then blowing over here to get started and all of that, you can keep a nice crisp edge, and you're obviously driving on it and stuff too, so there's that. But if we play a little fast and loose with this driveway here, it won't hurt anything, you won't sink in, and that's the whole point here. We're getting close, but I'm getting down to the end of my workday, so I'm gonna let you guys go and pick this thing up tomorrow. Well, Ed's got the floor leveler in up here, and we've committed to sink toilet heater. And we've got some flexibility here, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to start with drain construction. We can see in the kitchen here, this is where the old toilet drain used to be. I'm going to mark the location of this double joist and this joist up here on the subfloor, and then I can come in here and see that, and I can maybe go, I can even see them here, but it will help to put the marks on. I can go left right here and try to avoid the joist with the toilet flange plumbing, which is going to be the only thing that's really in the floor here. I can get there with the tub. I know the tub ends between joists here, kind of handy. So let's get that much done. And then I'm going to drill and place the flange in the floor. And then it'll be a matter of getting from there to the current drain plumbing. And in and along that route, we've got to get into it with the tub plumbing for the drains being under the floor. The sink drain, once we know where the toilet is, we can kind of pick a spot for the sink. We're going to drill through the tile, so I got some more of those carbide drills for the water supply size and the drain size. We're going to try to avoid this elevation here, which looks like we're going to try and be higher than that, but that's unhandy because we can't come through this thing. In fact, you know what? I'm going to cut this thing back to here. We're relying on it to hang the weight of the cast iron stack right now. And it is nice to be through both of these, but it's going to be completely in my way. Where is that sink right now? The sink's over there. So really, the sink drain is going to probably come down and enter over here, which is going to be a good enough reason to get rid of this steel box that we were saying has got asbestos on it, so we're going to handle that with care. So I guess the sink's going to come down and over, so in that case we'll leave this much pipe. I'll probably turn off or cut off this elbow because it comes through the wall. I'm not going to monkey around trying to take that apart. I'll just carbide saws all that off there and throw it away, and we'll try to get that will hold the weight of this. We'll take the Fernco apart, take the band clamps, slide it down, cut this enough to install the reducing sanitary tee for the sink drain, and then we'll probably need a small piece of 3-inch pipe on top of that to go back up onto with the Fernco and buckle it back into the stack, and that should be everything that we need. I'd like to get the toilet into that existing stub out from the old toilet, because if I can't, then I'm going to cut this off or take this away all the way down. Right now we've got a 3-inch section between there and here, which for all intents and purposes, I don't know why they did that. It really should be all 4 if you can help it. Yeah.
Shut off the heater up there?
Yeah, I'll unplug it. So we're just discussing, normally you're not allowed to reduce in size when you're downstream of anything in plumbing. Does it count to be downstream of just a 4-inch vent before we add the fluids from the tub and the toilet and the sink? Because then the fluid technically starts at 3 and immediately goes up to 4 for the rest of the way out of the building. So we got to talk to the building department as to whether or not I can reduce into 3 here and then back up. That was all how it was, but I'm going to take apart so much of this that it's like I may as well just put it back together with 4-inch potentially. So we got some decision making to do here. Okay, well, I tried a little heat there, and my aluminum pipe wrench, she just wasn't long enough, so I went out and got this one. I've been eyeballing it for a while. You can have, I thought that the 2 ends would thread together further to create an even longer cheater, but really that's not how this works, and it's probably why they put these ends on here, because it kind of, if it was raw, it might encourage you to try and fit it together with some couplers and ultimately probably break the wrench because it's not engineered for that. But it's still a good buy at $100, since I don't often need a real steel wrench. More often the aluminum is just fine, but you can have what amounts to a 10-inch wrench, then you can have what amounts to probably like a 16 or an 18-inch wrench, and then a full 24-inch wrench. Anyway, that's what I ended up using here with a little penetrating oil, and the reason I wanted to spin that off, so I cut it clear enough to turn the elbow, because it was coming, there was enough pipe in it going through there to keep that from being able to happen. And they had some flow issues, I'm told, here. When I was heating on the... Wow. When I was heating on the elbow, I was experiencing some of the fragrances that go along with a situation like this. But most of that is built up rust scale, which is part of the pipe. There is some of it, you know, is going to end up being mineral deposits and other stuff from spitting down the drain and everything else. So, this is the old sink connection. We are going to use this to hold this cast iron stack up, because I'm of the opinion right now that's one of the only things holding it up, unless there's a hole that's just big enough for the diameter of the pipe but smaller than a hub, where another section goes through something or other else and it's kind of hanging on that. I'm suspicious that if, you know, this were cut here, that could go flying. And if you started to cut from the top and it pinched your blade, you could be sure that it was trying to fall down if you're trying to test it, but at that point you've cut halfway through it. So we are going to need to know whether we can leave it going through both studs or we have to cut it back. I want to leave it because it's currently threaded. It's difficult to thread something like that in place without a special tool that I don't own. I bought 1 1/4 is what this is, cap here, and that will be used to keep any kind of sewer gases from coming out it. But we plotted those joists and they ended up here, and there's another one there. I could have sworn I marked a second one. Oh, the one over there. We're just looking for a way to have sink, toilet, because it used to be toilet, sink, and have the heater here, and we thought we'd have these special valves and they'd be sticking out, so the three equipment stack up here was going to be tight. However, we've learned something over there that I'll hold off on telling you for now. I think we're going to go with the toilet over here. This floor leveler is setting up there nicely. I like the toilet over here from a bathroom design standpoint. The wife's a little uncomfortable with it here because it means like only storage over there, and you know you'd have to come over here to get in, but it's right here, you know, and it's, she could reach this high, and if there's towels and stuff like that up on the top of the cupboard there, well, then that's that. I just think that in just having the sink here, you could use a pedestal for now. We'd put the, you know, drain there, but if they ran into a storage problem here, big whoop. You take the $55 pedestal sink away, and you get any number of other vanities with cupboards and stuff. Like I say, I would rather a dry sink cupboard with a vessel sink on top of it. It's more in keeping with the age of the home, but basically the rough-in plumbing can stay the same, kind of centered in this area of the wall, and then the radiator here, we're free to go to a 5 or even a 6 sort of layer one. When we get here, we have more flexibility here. Of course, the vanity or the mirror needs to move over. However, what it basically means to me is the sink drain is going to be somewhere here, and that means that it's on top of that stack unless I move to this side, which this is the better side to put the sink in anyway. Anything to the left over here to go to the right in there, but to the left here, I crash, being on the center line, I crash into this stick, trying to go down and over into the plastic portion of the stack, which is the first portion that I could tie into. That creates an issue. So I really like to see the sink over here, and so it'll be a little left hand, it'll be a little to the left of what amounts to where the mirror lies as a center line, but that's no problem. You can go to the left a little bit with a pedestal sink's installation and where it lives, and if you were to come back with a cupboard and a sink on top, well, you can just swing to the left with the P-trap underneath there where no one can see it. Totally typical type of a thing. You have flexibility in that. So I got to get rid of that box that's wrapped in long way around to what I really wanted to do to start with. We'll get rid of this box. We'll just cap that piece of pipe over there with a little dope on it to seal it up. It'll hold up our stack for us. And then we can put in our sink drain, and then we go, and I talked to the town. He really wants to see this staying at 4 inches in diameter. I've already had to let go of this. I was going to have to change it, so it's like, may as well throw it and just get some 4-inch components, which is what I ended up doing here. We'll take the toilet into the stack with the 4x4x3 Santee, and we'll take the sink into the stack with a 4x4x2 reducing sanitary tea. I got a 4x4 Fernco, which is all you need to go from plastic to cast iron at the top, and a 4-inch repair sleeve, which will go in with the piece that we make, slid up onto it. And then once we've got that lower end, I got to recut this end where I hacked it off. In fact, I may go to this. I may go down here so we don't have 2 repair couplings, which is just kind of jank. And we've got that full stick of 4-inch that I was rerouting the downspout with on site constantly. So that's probably what I'll do. Get all done. I built everything to this downstairs. And then, you know, I might have just put a fresh stick into here and kept going. But this is why, you know, you want to maintain flexibility. It'll be all right. Yeah, I'll probably cut, because this here is whatever it is. I'll cut it here. We'll bring in our new component stack up to the Fernco, and it'll just clear, and then the repair coupling will be on the lower portion of the upper, and we'll slide it down and buckle everybody together, tighten up the band clamps on the Fernco. This one time at band clamp on the Fernco. Toilet is still going to be on that stupid double joist, basically. And so I was trying to avoid modifications to the... No, I'm sorry. The toilet's going to be... Yeah. So the toilet that's just in the alcove... Derp. Ooh, that rang my bell. I never noticed that the ceiling will get you there if you're not careful. I'm not that tall. Anyway. Toilet is there. So I come down... And I just have to drill a nice big hole through this whole thing to just get here and then turn into that sanitary tee and roll down. So I've got a big hole to drill, but the location of the flange and everything isn't going to be trouble. If I can... That's the alcove right there. The toilet actually is over in the next. So I may have to open this up to get into the flange. And that would mean that I either come through, over, and then through again, which is kind of janky. Or I open that all the way up, and I stay in that joist bay, and turn and come through this and that, which is kind of less janky. But it means I've got some more demo to do here. And again, this is why, when you start with demo, you just do all the demo. See, because I know we didn't want to keep going here because it's tucked underneath the cupboards and this and that, and the cupboards are still full of stuff and they can't easily be taken down. And this like seems like an oversight, but really, I'd have had us demo this all out. I floated the idea several times because then where are you going to be when we're here doing the demolition and the dumpsters here and all of that? Just throw this out. See, because now I don't even have the truck this week, so this shit's just going to all lay on the site again after we did kind of the final site cleanup due to this. So do yourself a favor in the beginning. Well, define your scope. Be honest with yourself about what it's going to probably take in a situation like this. Even if you don't get in the ceiling to do any work, it's obvious that you want to demo this out and leave it, even if it's just bare, to be finished at a later time. All these furring strips and the old drywall and the suspended ceiling, if they've been smashed out and all the leaks in this bathroom have rotten them out and made it a wreckage to start with here, when you get into a major project like this, gut this all down, and I'd gut that all down too. But people, if you're working for hire, feel funny about you tear it into all of that, but it's like, it's basically garbage, get rid of it. So I'm going to do just a little bit more now today instead of any construction. Once again, all these components sitting here ready to build with, but we're going to go backwards before we go forward. And this is why I don't like to do that, but we're going to have to now, so let's pick it up and go. Okay, so we want to try and center the drain as much as we can in this distance, which, like we said, is probably somewhere in here, but we can't be there. So just to one side of this is about the edge of this hole, which would be an easier thing to find in the other side. Because that up here leaves me room for the diameter, about 2-inch diameter roughly, of the pipe and the fitting that's here and all that without banging into this over here. By the way, I realize now that the wall thickness is so much greater because they needed to accommodate the stack diameter with the hub on the cast iron, which is quite a lot larger than a 2x4, which is in the end why they ended up having to add thickness to the wall where the sewer stack is throughout the whole house here. So what's the point of this? Well, then the center line's the edge of this hole, and the height's about 18. It's normally 16 to 20 or so from the floor. I like to be at about 18. I find that works well as far as the final height here. So you come around to the other side and you find out where, using a square, and then 18 is about there. So the problem here is even if I use the carbide bit that I bought, that's going to cut me just a bit bigger of a hole than I need to come through with the fitting for the drain, and then ultimately the box flange will cover everything and make it look nice. It'll walk all over the place here without a pilot drill in the center, and I can't really pilot drill this with anything other than a carbide drill bit. I have some cobalt steel, or they might be carbide. I gotta go check them. I may try from this side to do it with carbide, even though it doesn't matter what size bit, they're all gonna walk around on something so hard. Alternatively, I could start on the other side with a center drill. Now what's my thickness here? Not much. I could start over here with the center drill to about 1/2 of an inch. If I could get the hole saw to start cutting, then I can come back, take the center drill out, go back into the hole saw edge, get the edges of the saw back into that hole to control it, and then very carefully let the saw do the cutting, don't really push it all, and cut my way through from the back and out through that tile. I think that's my best bet. Unless I have a carbide drill bit, which I'll test on a different tile, maybe one of the loose tiles. I know we're trying to keep them here for different reasons, but if I could get a sample of the tile and try to drill it with a carbide bit, that's what I'll probably do before I go to town right on the wall. I thought we kept a few of those tiles. Anyway, that would be my best practices there. Let's see what happens. Alright, well, I have got this tarantula carbide hole saw from Spider, which is just at Lowe's, which makes it handy. It ought to cut the tile just as good as the larger Spider drill bit that I bought, although that had separate carbide teeth, far fewer, and this is a higher tooth per inch count. So anyway, 2 3/4 clears my sanitary T-hub, which is what's going to come through the wall for the drain. And so, like I say, I spun it down to where it would go a little farther, but then you can't line up the pins on there. So we got to come back, put the pins in it, just as a matter of principle here. We're getting close enough for government work. Now, then I had sorry, not enough hands, but that pilot can only be a little shy of the wall thickness before the tile here, otherwise it's going to crash into the tile and ultimately break it before the hole saw starts cutting a groove enough to lead it once I take the center drill away. So, got to make our pilot drill shorter. So he's loose in there, and I push him down in as far as he'll go, and I see that he's about 7/8 to the actual point of it. And so, I want it to be no more than 3/8, really. So I've got it, what's 3 from 7? I got to take 4/8 off the end of him, which is, obviously, it's 1/2 of an inch. So I can measure. This has got a flat spot for the set screw all the way down it. I can measure to about 1/2 and cut him off with my grinder, which I'm realizing now I left at home. I got the big grinder here, so I can do that operation. Then I can put that all back together again and make enough of a center drill to start the hole saw, only just. Take it away, take the center drill out, come back with the hole saw, and finish trying to cut through the wall from the back side, all to get started here, which is where we begin. Establishing either where we're coming from and going to, or going to and coming from. So let's get that much done. Alright, well that's what I wanted to do. Now I've got something that'll hold me on a location, but I can tell you definitively this spider tarantula is, maybe it is carbide, but it is not cutting through that tile. Now, is that tile different than this tile? Yeah. So there's that. We're going to have to figure out now the larger size hole. So let's go look right at that and I'll show you. This is what that one looks like. You'll notice it has fewer teeth, right? And this is spider again, and they're calling that, who knows, but those are actual solid carbide cutters, and like I say, that went right through. So do they offer this type in this diameter? We're going to have to go back and rethink our inks on that one. Stay tuned. Check out these cloud formations. When this happens in western New York State, I just love it. It makes me feel like, you know, we live near a mountain range or something out in the Pacific Northwest, kind of. I'm just such a fan of that. When I first came home from college, it was doing it one day, and I thought to myself, man, we don't live near mountains. We don't. It was so convincing that day. I remember it burned into my psyche, and now I just, when it happens once or twice a year and I happen to notice it, it's just so cool. I wish it wouldn't be so constricted here. Maybe when we turn the bend. It's just fun to imagine having that landscape all the time, being just, you know, a few hundred miles away from the Rockies or something like that. It'd be so cool. All right, back to work. All right, Home Depot to the rescue. They carry the Diamond, what do they call it? Diamond Max line, which is really what you want in every case. The thing is, nobody seems to have all the sizes. They don't either go real small or they don't go large enough for everything I'm trying to do. This is going to do, I believe, what we need to do here, but it's it's 2.5 rather than 2 3/4. So we got a little play in our pilot now. I think I can keep that under control. In other circumstances, you can. That traps it enough to make a commitment of a hole to cut and to keep cutting. But here we got a delicate. Now that we've got the delicate tile, you know, this is one of those places where do you go, well, let's move over, all for the sake of being able to get this done without making a mess, or do we quickly glue our plug that we cut out? Where did that go? We could glue him back in there. What, did it fall down all the way to the basement now and hit the floor and break? So you could do you could put him back in there, and then use the center line on him to recut, and then use that. I think we're going to go for trying to get this started and just cut through the wall here. At a certain point, you can't do every single cut precautionary thing, or you'd be here all day before you got anything done. So let's try to just do it the old ham-fisted way, like we did through the shower wall. That worked for us once. Can we get it 2 out of 2? Let's see. Well, that cut like butter. Just exactly what I wanted. Nice clean hole. It's too bad it's all of this. But if you had to do this and you didn't, whether or not they repair this or we repair it, whatever, that'll do a nice job of leaving this alone if you're trying to come through and plumb. I'd love it if I could get a nice set of those diamond saws in a case, in a box, because even though I have a nice box set of the bimetal saws, that's the whole hog. Then you've got the super hog, which have got the few carbide teeth, and then you've got the diamond dog or whatever they call those there. So I see now I might have also considered, so I wanted to be as far this way as possible, but you also kind of want to look at, because you can't just necessarily fall down, you have to come over. You can't come over at an angle. You've got to use a sanitary tee, and so I've got this street flow elbow, because there's a street vent elbow. You want to be careful. This is a tight bend that's a street, but it's allowed to, code will allow it for fluids. But if I crank this stack over with a clamp, just a little bit, slides him over that way, he's in there kind of cockeyed to start with, but this will keep me at a point where after the fern coat, we could go back to some 4-inch pipe, then we could glue this guy in kind of sooner rather than later, almost immediately, basically, because we're not going to vent out the top. I've been talking sanitary tee here as though we're going to come up and vent, but I'm free, I believe, for a couple of feet, at least, if not 3 or 4 feet, an 1.5 inch pipe between there and the actual vent. If I'm closer than a certain amount, I don't have to actually add a vent. So we'll play this up as high. I mean, I could go way down if I wanted, but we're going to get into the way of the toilet in that case. So this thing will go right from the fern coat to this. We'll go up however much and roll in with a long flow elbow, because I've got this extra depth in the wall. That will put me on the center line back here, and with enough coming out over there to get my adapter nut for the P-trap glued into it. And then we'll go to the reducing, I got 4x3 reducing sanitary tee for the toilet. And he goes right here. And then we could put in a piece and go back to the repair coupling and get tied in. The stack will be constructed at that point. And then Ed got my ceiling demoed out. We'll turn the lights off as we come down because we're about to call it a day. And I don't think I need anything else that's up here. But Ed got my, oh, I'm going to leave my respirator mask the other way so that his fiberglass sanding dust that's floating upstairs doesn't just fill it, because that's the antithesis of what we're looking to do with a respirator mask. Now, Ed's hard at work on his Martian war machines.
Having fun?
Yep, doing his extension of his little wingtip there. Meanwhile, he got this ceiling out of my way. So now we can go right from the toilet, zoop, through those, zoop, zoop, right into the stack. And basically tomorrow, we ought to have the toilet and the sink drains. Then I got to look at how to get the tub in there and rebuild the tub. Meanwhile, Chris is going to be back on site. We're going to get him down here. And we're going to have him take all of the existing lines. They're going to test for continuity to identify where they're from. And they're all going that way. So like this guy, we're going to get him routed along the joist to the end of it, put a junction box on it, bring the junction box down to where it'll show through any drywall that's ever applied to this ceiling, because you've got to show these junctions by code, and get the clip on the end of it that attaches it to the box, this and that, and then route this cable like along the center line with the cable tool that I just bought while I was at the store. I fell into the trap. But this little guy here, we're going to break him out. And it's much nicer than hitting electrical staples with a hammer, which I've done since I started this gig. So I'm excited to get that thing rocking and rolling, but it'll get all these danglies, make sure they're worth doing something with. If not, we'll pull them right out. Take them all in this direction, because our raceway for our electricity is going to be in the ceiling here, I believe, for the first and second floor. And we'll have him do that busy work for us. We've also got the foam that we're going to isolate now. Before, we might have even done this before I did the drains. However, we didn't, so here we are. I noticed that getting behind the electrical boxes is immediately an issue, but these haven't been knocked in all the way, so you can pull it down, go through there, and then just stick it back in the holes. And so now, before we get potable water anywhere else in here or any electricity routed, we're going to do this fire foam behind every one of these where there's a gap, whether or not there's a gap, trace every one of those openings out all the way around down here. And any other penetrations, I think they probably want it. I don't know, I'll have to see if they want it for the heat. But they certainly want to run all of that. You want to make every one of these spaces independent from one another's airspace. So if you have any kind of fire starting, you don't get the syndrome you get with a balloon framing or anything else. We want to constrict every space down to its absolute smallest airspace to mitigate the travel of fire if you should get one started in the house by accident. So we'll get all that done in here also. And so we'll be whipping this into shape. And then the end of this week, the guys are back to try and get to a point where they can do our startup. They're going to reroute our stuff here. They're going to reroute our stuff over here. I got thinking, I don't know why I felt so crafty here. And I felt that I needed to cut that. No, it really should have just come out, those screws and the screws at the top, and done this operation on the whole piece. So I'm not quite sure what exactly we're going to do in the end here, but it does give them room to do their business and to fall down in here. And we got to get the garage over in this space converted to just, you know, something to convert it up. Maybe they will feed this with 3/4. They might feed it with 1/2 inch all the way for that zone to the garage. I'm not sure. But that'll happen in here, and therefore we can have a nice like access point here to trim the flow of things and whatever else you want to do with those valves there. And so lots of stuff going to happen here for the rest of the week. Stay tuned. All right, I'm happy with that. I haven't glued this part here, but it's basically where we want to be. Ed got our linoleum down. This, like I say, we'll end up with a box flange over it. It's just about as much penetration as you want from the center line with that large radius elbow, which is nice. And everything is, as the poo flows or the water flows, as opposed to as the crow flies, it is less than 3 feet to the stack, which allows you to keep from venting to the stack above it or anything else like that. As you get farther away, you end up at a certain point, then you got to run back and vent it so it can get through and without any issue and meet code. So, or pass inspection, I should say, plumbing code. At this point, I didn't go butts to nuts right here. I left us an extra inch on that just in case I wanted to take it away. And again, I didn't glue any of this here in case I wanted to shorten that up. But so now we can go down and I can show you the issue with the downstairs mix-up that we run into with the location of the toilet and the options for that. Unfortunately, we've got to drill a 3.5 inch hole to route the 3 inch toilet line through it. And that is larger in a 2x10 with an actual 9.5. You might be able to throttle that down to 3 1/4 and kind of get away with it. But because the second floor is 2x8 joists, our options are, now here's the piece that I built, and he's the right length to go from butted up to there where the repair coupling would slide over it. And we got to have a piece of pipe that gets us into the coupling up there. And actually, now that I look at it, we may need to take that last inch out to make sure that our center line of this isn't below the plane of the ceiling. Well, here's the issue. If we're putting the toilet in this region, now that the sink's there, it's got to be right on top of this doubler, which means we need to head this off more, double that, and I need to have that shown in an engineering drawing because, well, I know that'll do it. The town is going to want to see that. Alternatively, if we put the toilet over here, like I was talking, we could come right down, but we got to go through this pair of joists and this trifecta here, even though only the one is a joist, the other's a sister. Anyway, and I'd be on the center line of this wall rather than out here where it's doing a span. They still want that hole to be reinforced somehow. Sometimes you can get away with multiple thicknesses. Then the amount of meat there is enough. So he might let me drill the 3 of those and like add a layer there and drill the 3 of those and call that good enough. But I just have to have the engineer look at it. So I am unable to commit to this orientation either to the left or forward facing until he looks at it, which stalls me out of finishing drains here. But I can put in what we need for the water supply to the sink, what we need for the water supply to the toilet. No, because we still don't know where the toilet's going to go, but I can get the sink hooked up. And then we'll pivot into something else. Meanwhile, Chris is in the basement doing our electrical junction box work, which is turning out really nicely. He's got everything routed down the center line to a dog leg down to the junction with the appropriate clips on the ends of things. So this one is for BX cable on the left, and then that's to NM or non-metallic Romex on the right. And so everything will be copacetic. We got that one home run that went upstairs to a kitchen box, and then backing over to the oven, we cut him in half. Where did he go? It's here somewhere. Oh, here it is, here. So that oven run goes into a junction box, and the other piece of Romex goes to this, and they'll get their own extension to the box. They'll be on their own breaker, their own circuit, basically. which is good because the oven and that outlet were together, and then that outlet had one of those six outlet, like old school, I don't know what you call it. It's like a surge protector, but you screw it right onto the outlet upstairs, which means the blender, the toaster, all these other sort of like high amperage drawing devices are in that, and it's shared with the oven. So if you're baking something and toasting something and blending something, all of a sudden you're really overdoing that circuit super bad. So they'll be good going forward. They'll have you should have 2 different outlets or 2 different circuits above the kitchen counter nowadays. And so this will help to that end. We're not doing a kitchen remodel on this project as well, but then we're gonna get the fire foam behind all of these joists. And the heat guys are back later this week. So it's feeling good. We got multiple sets of people, multiple sets of hands. Let's go see what Ed did in the first floor bathroom. He got the linoleum in there, but he's also got the walls sort of sanded out, holes filled. He did a drywall repair. Yeah. This is good. He's got that roughed in. And so this ought to look much nicer. He's got the heater running in there, keeping it toasty and dry. I'm going to have to come up with something else that I can do other than committing to that toilet, which is really irksome. But that's what happens. I might go outside and spread. No, the dirt is done in the front yard and I don't have anything I can do in the back. Well, I'll be back when I come up with something I can do right now. Okay, the guys are back trying to do our startup, at least on the basement floor today, maybe even the first floor, they're saying. We got this stuff rerouted around, which I'm much happier about. Almost perfect there. We'll have to see what a little finesse can do. We came down on this side, made a little room so we can get up into the ceiling over here, and this will be where we run the supply in return for the radiators on the second floor if they become necessary. And with the nails out of the way, they can get the final few loops in the ceiling. This is where our major arteries come to supply the loops. So you tie in there, there's a tie in there, and a tie in down there somewhere. So those are your different around about 300-foot lengths. And your turnbacks here. And, oh, and then our manifold. I don't want to say manifold. It's the last little, these are manifolds, multiple taps on one in and out. And then over here we have the garage separately, which is supplied and returned through 3/4, but they've got their own little valving there. Yada yada. This here, not sure what we're going to do about that, but we'll get there. And I'm busy with engineering for the upstairs bathroom, because we just can't all come together on what's going to be necessary. I've got it drawn at this point. We've got this currently boxed area in the stack right here and here, and we either want to be here, which isn't desirable really, and it would mean that we'd have to extend this over and cut that one back, and then this would probably have to be doubled, and this would have to be doubled. And really would like to be over here in the alcove upstairs with the toilet, but that means we're either going to route down and go through these joists where they're under compression from load, or we're going to go right through them out here where they're under tension, and then turn and go. This goes right down the side of there. So stacks to the right of this one joist, which would allow us to go through somewhere in the middle of the room. But I have to get that far, and I have to indicate what we'd prefer and what we still could do if we couldn't do the other way. Get it over to the architect, put it through his architect machine, come back and tell me what would be necessary to do these penetrations, what would be necessary to do those penetrations, or you know, what kind of hardware to support that opening, which I've found online, but nobody wants to play nice and say, well, yeah, we'll pass that, no problem. I talked to the manufacturer of the hardware that supports the hole, and maybe I'll do this in another segment when I can show it on the computer screen, but they've never had a problem where it could be or had to be uninstalled. They've always had pass with flying colors. Their engineering is solid for each of those devices that they supply, and it'll be clear once I show you. So if you have a joist like this with a hole that's overly large, or any number of things that shouldn't be as it is, and your light wouldn't just hang out for a second. Anyway, turn it down. What they sell is 2 halves that have a flange that stick out, or you get down here and you get a flange that sticks out, and I believe they intersect, but then they're just full of holes, and they've got an opening, but they're applied to the sidewall of the joist, and they provide this much more. And once they're married together, you're basically relying on a C channel in this area, and that C channel is more than hardy enough in every way to allow this opening to exist without, you know, there any compromise to the joist. Now that's under compression. Out here, that's for over in here. Over here in tension, I think you end up with something that you want to slip over and around the whole joist like that, more like a U. And it might even be taller, but we got to spec out the right thing in its different places and indicate that we're going to use them there and that the architect signed off on that. And it just is not going to happen on a Friday afternoon, which is too bad because I could do a bunch of work overhead here that I can't do yet. And I didn't realize they were going to be such sticklers, so we just got to get it done. No. Ed's got this glued up now. He made me a little room to get a pilot bit into the wood, and we're going to put that big diameter hole saw, and we're going to come through these two pieces and make him two pieces to go right back in next to his mix valve. Hopefully, so let's see how that goes. Let's see what happens.
Don't try this at home.
Yeah, come on, kids. Safety first. I'm wearing my glasses.
Watch these build up. Remember, it's only held it hot
now. I'm losing the camera. You hang on to just one leg of the camera too.
Yeah?
There you go.
Sure.
Here we go.
I don't know.
Production value.
Yeah. Safety.
Ready, Freddy?
Gotta get the shot.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to struggle with that piece being small enough there.
This is fine. This is fine.
What do you think? Okay.
These are all covered by the
So that's where I like to see this type of cutter.
Oh, yeah.
Because it limits the violence between this tip and this tip and this tip, the higher tooth per inch. But you can't have this kind this big. All right, well, if you can use those pieces, that's pretty radical. Well, I can't hear you guys over the furnace. Isn't this nice? Condensate into a bucket for now. Fix up my my routing of the BX electrical. Got all the hold downs kind of aligned, kind of trying to stay at the same height with stuff. Got this fixed up so that it can be finished. You know, no problem there. These are just holding the plywood on the other side for when we get into doing our second floor radiators. Got our hold downs, very professional, ultra professional. Thermostat set to what? 68, we're at 66 in here currently. Down here. Got a couple little pieces of copper on there for me, which I appreciate. Cut the handles down so that they cleared. I heard him say that and I thought, that's a bummer, but they slid the overmold off. And then they cut them, and then they slid the overmold back on. How sexy is that, huh? Huh? That impresses me. This looks good here, too. Very nice. These came through just like we planned. I don't know why I felt compelled. I might have said this already, but I don't know why I felt compelled to separate this. I'm just going to replace the whole stick with a notch out of it that's appropriate for that. Save having to mend this all back together again, whatever. It's not that big of a deal in the long run. I often just continue to go forward, but that's a place where I'll go a little bit backwards just to make things legit. They apparently like to finish the manifold that they've basically built out of 3/4 here that supplies all the 1/2-inch diameter loops in the overhead ceiling with some kind of, you know, with using a T rather than an elbow at the very end. So I don't know if they use, if they have the ability to purge right there, clear it, or whatever they think they need, but this was all crawl space before, you know, just rotten, frozen crawl space where the silcock I put in, you know, was the only thing that would function anymore. There's 3 or 4 attempts at having one in copper that were just hanging in there, and this is where the bathroom sink and stuff was before. Just so satisfying. Just so super freaking satisfying. Look at all this whole cavity underneath there, you don't really need anything. I thought that we'd end up with this maybe installed underneath here, and I could see now that's uses up the whole space. It was such a better place to put this over here. And they just need a little more clearance up there, which I gave them. We go around in here and go out there. These are I think that's my potable hot water there. So that goes right on down. I guess I'll put potable hot and cold down the bottom side of this, because there's apparently room for 4 routes, because that's what we got over here. Hot supply and cold supply for potable water, and alternatively, supply and return for all the radiators can be above it or maybe below it. I guess they're going, you know what, hot and, well, no, we're going to take off of that and go up right here somewhere. I was going to say eventually it's going to keep going all the way down. It's going to have to probably turn a corner, or it's going to have to get into behind this plane, and then we're going to have to turn up, and then we're going to have to go over, and then we're going to have to go through and go over and up and back to that radiator over there. So I was thinking maybe we just keep it on the bottom 2 positions, because you're going way there, but we're going to have to take off of it and go up here, and that's where coming out and going upstairs, where are we talking? Oh, I just put a patch in the floor there, but that's the old duct hole, and I did that because you're going to want to drill for these and not just put them up through a bunch of empty space. And so we'll drill, and then they get fire foam when we go. So I fixed up the floor there, and so yeah, they'll break the plane of this I-beam a little bit, you know, but that's, what are you going to do? At this point, if you wanted to insulate these or finish around this, you're at least going around it with 1.5 inch material, and the drywall is going to be out here. So if you go around with 1.5 and you give yourself an inch or 2 of space to do turn out and up, and the whole thing ends up 2 inches wider than it was going to end up being in the end, that is one heck of a compromise I'm willing to make, given how much room the forced air and the noise down here, and basically only 1/3 of your system's, well, I shouldn't say that, because most of the lion's share of the system is the furnace itself and all the initial ductwork, but so much more ductwork throughout this home that's never been touched and wasn't routed correctly, and it's currently filthy and covered in asbestos on the outside anyway, but still, reusing all of that was just unbelievably not a good idea to me. Got our vanity box in. I'm just doing some little things. I'm waiting on that architect still. I never got anything today, so I can't do anything with the drains upstairs. I got the floor patch, like I said. So yeah, it's just been a long time coming. I put the insulation back up because they went out this way, took their tools with them. They'll be back now to put those radiators in. I got a mag drill on the way so we can re-drill the other side of those cast iron radiators. But that's all next week. Alright, this is what is commonly used to make repairs to joists that you have to run systems through. Sometimes it can be as simple as just on the face here, when you're in tension, like out in the middle of a room, to keep that face from separating. Well, then there you go. The question is how to make a plan to use something like this. I need an endorsement from the architect. I need its location exactly called out. And now that I've asked permission rather than beg for forgiveness, the town wants me to provide that information before I do any cutting. And you can see these are 2-piece that you can slip into position and mend, some of which provide bearing to the side of the joist, some of which I assume go up and over on top of the joist. This is all joistrepair.com. So it's actually already Monday, but I'm going to wade into this week. For now, I got a little bit of construction I could do, and then tomorrow is my wedding day on Halloween, believe it or not. So I don't have to figure out something to occupy me. But by the time we get back into things next couple of days after tomorrow, I'm going to need to know where we're going here. But for now, I think that's an end of this episode. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you.